Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Going to learn a lot today. This is going to be, I think, an eye-opener, and this is also things that you don't normally hear, especially in a podcast. And that's coming from an amazing intimacy coach. Now, we've talked about a lot of things prior on podcasts. We haven't delved deep into the intimacy aspect of ourselves. Objectification is one thing we're going to look at today. What does that mean? Hearing that word a lot. Let's go right to her. Elaine Miles joins us on the program today. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I want to begin
Objectification.
by just saying that intimacy, if you break it down, into me,
Oh,
see. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about going from external stimuli, such as pornography, which let me just say that in addition to pornography, internet porn, pornography is kind of intertwined in our culture, in music, in you know,
hmm.
all forms of entertainment. We are kind of taught that uh, our bodies are broken down into different parts of parts of our bodies are for pleasure, and that we have to find stimulation out to arouse those parts of our bodies, when actually we can go within and find sensuousness and find these kinds of sensuous feelings and arousal by doing going within. And it involves looking at ourselves a little differently, so
Hmm.
that's what I want to talk about. It's about a new perspective.
Interesting. Um, does make you think why many times we go to outside sources uh,
Hmm.
to stimulate, to enhance all of that
Hmm.
instead of going within, but maybe we don't know how to do that.
Well, it's not emphasized in our culture. And again, in our culture, this is a culture where we are not taught about our power as, human beings. And so those powers that we have are not reinforced, they're not taught to us. Instead, we're in a consumer environment. And so naturally, the message is going to be go, buy something, watch something, and it's not going to encourage us. So we have to look at the culture and say, well, this isn't really teaching me how to be a powerful human being. But fortunately, there are resources. And but it begins with your perspective of, how have you always looked at your body? Have you most of us have expected and put expectations and demands on different parts of our bodies to produce certain feelings and experiences. And so what does that tell the body? It says, well, you are just like pornography. You're an object. These parts of my body are just like there for these purposes. When if we took the time to say, oh, well, gosh, this is bring some appreciation to the fact that your body can give you all kinds of wonderful feelings, but let's not put these demands, like you would on a car. You depend on, yeah, put the demands on a car to run well, and but on your body, let's say like, oh, like let's do a sacred connection with my body. And we can do that. One of the things I like to tell my clients is they can, and they might come to me because their erections are weak. I said, well, maybe let's honor your body. And so I'll encourage them to, uh, at home, just take the time to like make a cup with their hand and and put their genitals in their hand and cup them, and then put the other hand on their heart and just visualize and see a white light connecting the two, and just like express gratitude for the feelings that can arise out of the body, and also for the miracle that that's also the organs where life is begins. So the man is that grateful that he has the seeds to produce, and the woman being grateful that she can birth a human being from these organs. So it's like a feeling of wonder and awe that this is a part of me. And
Hmm.
I'm going to take the time, and I'm going to be thankful, and I'm going to respect, and I'm going to not use words like jargon like whacking and beating to describe how I'm going to touch myself. I'm going to touch myself. Yeah, I'm going to be what I do. I do certainly enjoy those sensations, but I can touch myself in all different ways. Uh, and I can do this. One of the things that's important is in Tantra, the teachings have a lot to do with the breathing. So if you're going to have a session of self love, then you want to begin that session by just taking the time. It's called the ocean breath. And you do 21 breaths, and you breathe in through your nose. And then it's like an ocean wave crashing. And you do that 21 times. You do the ocean breath. So do it with me, Steve.
Hmm.
Breathe in nose, out through your mouth. And you let the vocalization come through, because these
Ah.
vocalizations vibrate all the way down. And so
Hmm.
now you've done 21 breaths. If you're doing it with your partner, your mind is quieter. And as you make love, and especially during intercourse, you want to bring in breathing, because that just fills up the body more, so that the sensation is not just in the groin. Then the breath can spread those feelings, and that's what tantra is all about: having the feelings spread throughout the body. And that's why full body orgasms are talked about, because it's really, the breath is crucial to spreading that energy around.
Hmm.
um, yeah. And so this is a new perspective, and uh, it's one where you move away from seeing yourself and putting demands on yourself. And many times when a man is having a weak erection, it's because he's been putting such demands instead of taking the time to, you know, to kind of honor this part, well, not, and we don't want to, we don't want to be, we want to honor the whole body, but especially, these are our sacred areas, and were once seen as sacred areas in other, and even, in other cultures and other teachings, and still are in tantra teachings. And when you bring the breath in and you're touching at the same time, you're releasing blockages in that energy center, which we've talked about before, the energy body. And then you're making room for more pleasure. And yeah, so
Isn't it? Well, doesn't that come back to, that the term honor thyself?
yes, for
And
sure.
interestingly, um, what we're talking about today, you know, the vocalization with the breathing goes back to even ancient times where the om, right? In meditation,
Exactly.
where
Right.
that sound or sound you make resonates throughout the entire body. It almost sounds, and I'm talking about like if you're alone, it almost sounds like it's foreplay for yourself. Is it?
Uh, well, we don't even have to make a separation, because the the minute you begin to embrace this quiet time with yourself, it's a form of it can be a form of meditation, and it just happens to give you these benefits of, arousal and sustained pleasure. And when you're going to spend time with yourself, the environment is important. It's important that, we were just looking before the show began. I was showing Steve some of the environment in my home. And so your living space is important, and where you're going to spend time with yourself. You might want to, the music. I always suggest drumming music, because tribal drumming goes into our primal self, the beat of the drums. And also you want the lighting, you don't want it to be harsh. So you might want to light some candles. So it's a setting. It's called a sacred setting. And I do have a blog
Hmm.
post on that. And, so it becomes it becomes a sort of a meditation, only like I said before, you're going to now focus on erotic meditation. This is an erotic meditation, moving erotic energy through your body. And that is, that energy is a powerful energy, because then you become more like, you're not as intimidated. Say if you have a weak erection during the process. Well, it's not, the goal is not, you don't have a goal for any type of, you don't put a demand. It's like gratitude for whatever pleasure your body
Hmm.
wants to bring you, instead of saying, oh, I'm not getting, firm enough. No, it's dropping away. And when you find yourself with an expectation, that's when no, this is not about expectation. It's not about demands. As a matter of fact, this can be done with a flaccid state, an erect state, or a state that changes from one state to the other. It's not about what can I get out of this. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Except
It's about
no,
what can I do.
no expectations. That's what I'm hearing from you. No expectations. Um, it's like whatever happens, happens, and accept it for what it is, because next time it'll probably be different.
Yeah, you just you're doing this to get used to going within for pleasure, instead of easily putting on the computer and getting this stimulation that is so, like, reduced. It reduces human sexuality to like a car, like a machine.
Hmm.
And then it puts expectations in your mind that, oh, I should, be able to be like that. Well, you don't want to be a machine, right? Uh, and the chances are the people are on drugs anyway. So and alcohol, because, sustaining that kind of lifestyle is totally like reducing in the terms of human spirit and human vital energy, because it's always giving their power away. So this is time to regain your power also.
Would you say that it is not always a good thing to look at images, pornography, whatever? You might be better off not doing that.
Oh, of course I'm saying that.
Okay,
That's the
just
whole, yeah,
confirming. All right,
yeah.
but
No,
but
and
also,
also, right, go
you go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's not just like the blatant. It's not only the obvious porn. It's also in a lot of pop culture, in movies, where the guys, and then the girls look at the guy, and it's all about, like this adolescent form of sexuality that like we were talking last week about boy psychology and man psychology. There's also girl psychology and
Ah,
woman psychology. So this level of sexuality is adolescent. But in our culture, they continue that adolescent sexuality into adulthood and have adults on in movies behaving like adolescents when they're so caught up in just looking for security, looking and these are adolescent
Wow.
sexual messages. It's yeah, but when we become adults, then we can mature into a more a different state of we can go into a state where sex is sacred. It can be sacred between two people, but first I have to make time for myself. I have to make time to connect with myself sexually so that when I'm with a woman, I'm not going to her, or a woman, I'm with a man or a woman, whatever sex is that these it. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go down. But if I'm not going to someone else to give me something I cannot get for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Right. I'm
Well,
not going to have dependency.
yeah, and that goes back to us in general. We shouldn't depend on somebody else for satisfaction, gratification. And I'm not even talking on an
I
intimacy or
understand.
physical aspect.
Right.
I mean, just in
Right.
general, people
Exactly.
become attached to other people. You complete me. Remember that movie? All of
Yeah.
that. You got to move
Yeah.
past that.
Right. And this is just another sphere where we can regain our power and we can fulfill needs that we have. Certainly, we want to have companionship. Yeah. But
Sure.
we don't want to go there from a place of desperation.
Exactly. Yeah. Interesting. So I want to just go back to what you said a moment ago in that we're acting like adolescents when we're seeking out outside stimulation. In terms of, whatever
Uh,
we're watching.
if we're relying on external sources, sure, that is a level of sexuality that is more geared toward an adolescent psychology. If
Okay.
we want, yeah, an adult psychology is is taking responsibility for all aspects of our life, including into intimacy, because it's
Wow.
into BC. I have to take responsibility and learn about myself and learn about how I feel good and honoring myself. So yeah, that's more adult. That's more
Wow.
mature.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Why do you think in our society we went down that road? We became, and it's been for decades, why we became, I don't want to say obsessed, but dependent on that kind of thing. Whether it's
Yeah.
online, watching something,
Mhm.
whatever. What do you think?
Because we are not in a, we are in, I know I talked about the Matrix before, but we are in a culture and that does not want us to have our power. Because if we're in our power, we can say no much easier. We can turn away. We can say we're not buying into that. That's hype. And I see it for what it is. It's You can see the veils. You can see that's the world, and the world will always have certain messages that are not serving me. Now, I want to go to a higher place where I can tap into my power anytime I need to. But the world's not going to teach me that. The world's going to teach me to be a victim and to always be wanting
Mm,
and needing. And then they will be providing me with the answers. The world wants you to look to them for the answers. Oh, what are they giving you? They're telling you to watch. They're telling you to go outside of you. You don't have anything within you. You're a random creation. You're just, floating around in this universe. You're just this puny little thing. No. So so it's to control. Ultimately, it's
yeah.
for control. Because if you're fearful and you don't feel powerful, then you're going to be coming from that place. Please help me, help me, help me. I'm a victim. Help me.
Mm.
Tell me what to do. Tell me how to live my life. And they'll be more than happy to tell you how to live your life. That's why, I don't really put the television on, except for like a good movie, On, so that's the message that's going to be honed in constantly, whether it's on the news, whether it's in television programs or pop music.
Sure.
It's always going to be, I have the answer. It's not going to be, you have the answer.
They've done a great job of programming us, because even what we're talking about here, I think many people, even when they're alone and that intimate time that they set aside, it usually includes some outside whatever. And it's because like you say, and everything's a habit. So once you get in the habit of doing that, you always do that. That's what because you've been, the last time, the time before that, the time before that, right?
Right. And, but the great thing is that the human spirit and the life force is always there to support you for change. And so you just have to take, like the first steps and be clear that this is a new way of being for you, and you will be supported. Because it is in your best interest. And we're in an interesting time of quantum changes. So I can put this out there. I had a client on the weekend, and as I was sharing this information, he was lighting up, and his eyes and everything, he was feeling this message on a visceral level. It wasn't just a mental level. So we can take in things now. There's like this veil that's lifted.
Yes.
And this is the perfect time to make changes, to increase your power, because the universe is right there to support you. You
Absolutely.
don't have to do it all on your own. Everyone has life on their side. You see the flower is color coming through the ground every spring. That's life pushing through all that hard soil to get so that the flowers can come up through it every spring. Well, we have that same force going through us. And if we want to make a change, we have that same life force that is saying, yeah, that's going in the right direction. I got your back.
I believe the universe wants the best for us. And also that there is a new level of consciousness that's going on. And I'm going to say that if you're watching this, you probably are more aware and sought it out. And in a search, it showed up, or same thing if you're listening to this. So interesting. This is what you do in helping people realize these things and overcome some challenges when it comes to intimacy. Elaine, how do we find you?
You can go to my website, or you can Google my name, Elaine Miles, with an I, M-I-L-E-S. And my website is Soul Tymes with a Y instead of an I for Tymes.
Gotcha. Fabulous talking with you. Interesting insight. This is not stuff that you find everywhere. But it also makes us think why we do what we do, and do we need to do what we're doing? I think we answered a lot of questions to that question. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.